Welcome back to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta. I am Mark Zinno. Thank you so much for making A to Z part of your everyday sports listen right here in Atlanta. And thanks for all the love and support that you guys have given Locked On Sports Atlanta, the entire crew here. A whole bunch of great shows. A to Z, Hitting Hard with John Chuckery, ATL Day Ones, Jarvis Davis, Denitra Batiste, our Braves postcast, Grant McCauley, Locked On Falcons with Aaron Freeman, Locked On Hawks with Brad Rowland, everybody here at Locked On Atlanta. Really appreciates love and support. We're over 1,000 subscribers already in just a really short time since we've launched, and we appreciate you guys sharing all the love and continuing to be part of this whole endeavor with us. So thanks again for all the support, and please keep it up. Share it with everybody you know. Follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe, and just continue to be part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. Hit me up on Twitter at Mark Zinno. I'd love to hear from you guys on what your thoughts are on Locked On Sports Atlanta and anything ATL Sports. All right. Speaking of Atlanta sports, this is kind of tied to Atlanta indirectly. And I figured it was worth a moment to discuss what happened with Josh Donaldson and Tim Anderson of the White Sox over the weekend. Of course, Josh Donaldson, now a member of the New York Yankees, and the Yankees were taking on the White Sox in New York. And there has been a little bit of this buildup and dust up between these two teams dating back to their first series earlier in the year. But Anderson and Donaldson have been jawing. Anderson has been jawing at the Yankees. The Yankees have sort of been jawing back. And these games have been tight and contentious and everything else. Well, they get their game rained out on Friday night, and then they play a game on Saturday. And the game they play on Saturday ends up with a dust up at home plate between Josh Donaldson and the White Sox catcher. I forget who it is. It's slipping my mind right now, but nonetheless. And it's over Tim Anderson because allegedly, or I shouldn't say allegedly, because Josh Donaldson confirmed it, not allegedly. Josh Donaldson called Tim Anderson Jackie. And Josh Donaldson explained after the game that he was using the word Jackie and calling him Jackie in deference to Jackie Robinson. And he was doing that because Tim Anderson referred to himself in a 2019 Sports Illustrated article as the next Jackie Robinson in Major League Baseball. Donaldson continues to maintain that there was no ill intent behind it. It was just, good-natured ribbing. If he took offense to it, Donaldson apologized in his post-game press conference and said he wasn't meaning for it to take intent. He certainly wasn't meaning for it to be racist, but Anderson took it that way. And the only thing that I can think of more than anything in this whole scenario, and I, whether you believe Donaldson's context or not, I don't want to get into. Whether you think it was offensive or not, I'm not really here to judge. If you find it offensive, then you're allowed to be offended by it. I mean, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for doing so. I will say I think Donaldson is stupid for name calling. Like, I get you're trying to get underneath the guy's skin and do a little bit of that, but I don't know that, this isn't like 10th grade high school baseball, man. Like, it's the pros. But I would say this, and this is the one thing that kind of just popped into my head. If you're going to make a reference to a black baseball player, and there aren't many in Major League Baseball, if you're going to make a reference to a black baseball player, using Jackie is a bad idea. It's never meant as a compliment. It's sort of like making a Hitler reference in general. You just don't do it because it never lands well. Making a Jackie Robinson reference, other than to applaud him for breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball, is never going to land well when it's aimed at a black person. Like, it's just objectively, even though I'm a white guy, I feel like I could say that. Like, it doesn't. I'm not scared to say that. It was never going to land well. It was never going to sit well. I mean, I can understand why Anderson took offense to it, and it becomes problematic. And Donaldson shouldn't have done it. Like, I think that's fair. I'm not going to sit here and try to presume his intent, and I'm not going to sit here and say that he was being racist or anything like that. I'm just going to say it was a stupid choice for Donaldson, and he shouldn't have done it. Now, again, knowing what I know of Donaldson from covering him here in Atlanta, do I think he's an ill-intended guy? No, I don't think he's an ill-intended guy. I think he certainly is that kind of, he was great in the Braves clubhouse. He was Jock Peterson before Jock Peterson was here. We all loved it. He had the haircut, and he had he was the guy that was out there, just sort of the rah-rah guy that everybody liked to be around. He was a lot of fun. He talked a lot. That was part of who he was. He never said anything like that when he was playing here, although he does claim that when he was with the Braves is when this whole thing started. The whole Jackie thing with Tim Anderson. So it was a bad mistake by Donaldson. It was something that didn't need to happen, and it really was a bad move. And Major League Baseball is going to investigate, and I won't be surprised to see them suspend him. And I think Major League Baseball is almost compelled to suspend him because Major League Baseball has forever had a diversity problem with the black community. Um, they don't have enough black people playing baseball. It's been a problem for a very long time. And they've tried hard to connect with inner cities. They tried hard to connect with the African American population, but those kids just don't get involved. They really, really don't. Now, locally, again, here, I'm in Cobb County. I go to a couple different batting cages around here and work with a couple different instructors for my kids. I am actually surprised to see how many young black kids are playing baseball. I think it's great. But I was actually, kind of surprised to see, wow, there's a lot of young black kids playing baseball. And I'm not talking little league. I'm talking like high school level and trying to be super competitive travel baseball kind of stuff. Everybody plays little league. It doesn't matter. You do it because you get your kid involved and stuff. But I think Major League Baseball sort of almost has to. I'd be very surprised if they let this thing go. In a world where Major League Baseball is trying to get younger, they're trying to capture a wider audience, they're trying to get rid of the old white guy image. For them to not take some sort of action here and come up with some sort of, even if it's slap on the wrist punishment, in reality, you're not going to suspend the guy for 20 games. But if you give him a 3-game suspension or whatever it is, at least it sends a message theoretically that you give a rip, right? Like that you actually are paying attention and this stuff isn't okay, and that you want the black community to understand that you're empathetic to everything that they go through. And that's not like, I don't think I'm being woke here or anything like that. I think I'm just being purely honest and understanding the situation. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say Josh Donaldson's a bad person or that he had ill intent or that what his intent was, period. I don't know what his intent was. I'm going to say it was just a stupid decision. Again, I use the Hitler reference. Anytime you invoke Hitler, it's never going to land well. People are always going to go, So if you're invoking Jackie Robinson, it better be to applaud him, not anywhere presumed as a, slight to anybody. That's the only way it lands well. And it didn't land well for Donaldson. And it didn't land well on Anderson. And by the way, these two teams are probably going to meet in the playoffs again. This is not they finish up their series. Anderson hits a home run last night, by the way, in the nightcap of their doubleheader, and gives the old Trae Young to the crowd. But this is not the end of this by any stretch of the imagination. I still feel like these two teams are destined to meet in the playoffs now, and it is going to be live ball, man. Get ready. Should be a lot of fun. All right, coming up next, speaking of live ball, Braves showed a little bit of life this weekend against the Marlins. They head home for a big 7-game homestand against the NL East, and the PGA Championship was an absolute kick to the huevos for one Mito Pereira. That's next here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta.